Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your WrestleMania 38 preview and predictions. And of course, because it is a two-night affair, we have got an insane number of matches to cover. Technically, I guess you could say that WrestleMania kind of started tonight. They called tonight's episode of SmackDown WrestleMania SmackDown. So, if you want to call that part one of WrestleMania, I guess that works. But the official WrestleMania event is a 2 day event on Saturday and Sunday. And we will only be reacting to, I believe it ended up being 5 matches total, one on Saturday, 4 on Sunday. So, John, I guess because we will be live reacting to some stuff on these 2 nights, if you want to give a hype rating, feel free.
I guess 5 out of 10, right? For 5 matches.
Well, to be fair, it's five
match each.
matches out of 14.
Oh, geez.
If you want me
God,
to
I really don't
translate,
give a
that's
shit
like a
about.
3.5.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess that's fair. I really don't give a shit about this show. Even the matches I am excited for, I feel like a bit jaded about because they're on such a shit card.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, you really even did kind of the good matches dirty by situating them with all this garbage. But yeah, let's talk about it.
It's almost like one of those things where you're like, that match is going to be good, but my options are stay attentive to WrestleMania long enough to know when that match is going to start and get to watch it, or just not give a fuck and probably find it online later anyway. Let's weigh our options
Yeah,
here.
it's really funny you say it that way, dude, because I can even say, and this might be a bit unfair of me. In fact, I'll even say right now that it's unfair of me. But I'll even go ahead and preemptively say that this show is probably going to be a search it for a lot of people. Just think about what match you're hyped about. Search for it online later. Even
Mm-hmm.
if you want to get the Peacock subscription so you don't have to go through the fucking hassle, and then you just selectively go through the show, nobody would blame you. Nobody would blame you. There
Yeah.
is so much stuff on this show.
It's
Yeah,
like
fuck
take
it,
your
man.
Saturday and your Sunday night back and watch the shit on this show that you care about afterwards. And better yet, even then, if you watch it afterwards, you'll know what you're actually going to care about because you'll already have an idea of what happens and you'll know what to avoid because of stupid ass finishes, which are going to happen a lot on these shows.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you there.
All right, let's
So,
get into this.
yeah,
Let's
let's
get
get into it.
into day one. Let's start, I guess, with oh god, there's just so much bad. You know what? Let's really stick it to Vince and talk about his main event first. Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey.
I think Ronda wins. It's so fucking easy. They've got the Fox deal. I think Fox really wants to promote her. I think they think she equals ratings, although I have a hunch that that's not true, even though I haven't been plugged in a long time. So I'm just going to go Ronda with the win here.
You know,
Although,
Ronda might be ratings, but we wouldn't know because she's working with a proven anti-draw in Charlotte.
yeah, and I was even going to say the thing that makes this match difficult, dude, if I'm honest, is we know what a politician Charlotte is,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't be surprised if she angled for Ronda to tap because she'd think about the controversy. I made Ronda Rousey, who like innovated the armbar in UFC, like women's UFC, to tap out and all that stuff. So, but I think even with Charlotte's politicking, sometimes you get acts that are just bigger than you, and the company
Hmm.
will stand behind them and not really sweat it. So I'm still gonna go with Ronda to win,
Yep.
probably via submission.
Yeah, this is one of those matches where they've built up so much heat that like they could do a squash and have Ronda tap Charlotte out in a minute or two, and I don't think people would complain. I think that's like an effective blow off to the kind of heat that they have built up for Charlotte in this match. So that that I do think Ronda's winning. But because we just again, it's one of those things where it's WWE, so they love their heat, and they could decide that all the heat that they've built is just not enough, and they want more. But I do think it's more likely Ronda wins because let's be real, what's the goal with Charlotte? It's not for her to be the longest reigning anything. It's for her to have the most reigns, and you can't have multiple reigns if you hold the title for too long. So she has to drop it so she can win it back soon.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Next up, you know what? Because you've been kind of missing out on a lot of the content lately, you probably didn't watch much of if any, of SmackDown tonight, did you?
I missed all of it, as you can imagine.
Would you like to know who won the armbar?
Who won the armbar?
Would you like to venture a guess, or do you just want me to rip the band-aid off?
Rip. Oh God, rip the band-aid off, please. When you put it that way.
Madcap Moss won the fucking armbar.
Let's move on, huh?
Let's move on to the match that is tangential to Madcap Moss. Happy Corbin versus Drew McIntyre.
Drew better fucking win this. Like, I just need to say something because look, part of me wants to be as quick as we were with our stand and deliver preview because that's honestly what the show deserves. But I don't mind also going a bit long, not to mention my shitty internet, so maybe it's a bit hubristic on my part. But I just gotta say, man, they did Drew so fucking dirty this year. Like, this dude
Mm-hmm.
won a world title, not even in front of a fucking crowd. They didn't even have the Thunderdome back then.
Mm-hmm.
Failed to regain in front of a crowd, which, whatever. Bobby got to have his reign. That's cool. So I'm not gonna, like, take the piss out of Bobby. I'm just saying, like, Drew has had it rough, man. And this dude, he looks fucking great. He works fucking great. And you don't even give him, like, because this Mania was gone, right? There was no salvaging this. But at the very least, excuse me, God, I popped myself too hard. You could have given him a number one contenders match or something, and then already build hype for your next pay per view and pray to the gods that it wasn't going to be as shit as this fucking show. But no, no, let's just give him fucking Happy Corbin. Uh, I hate it. I hate it for him. I feel so sorry for Drew, and really for every Drew McIntyre fan, because my God, did you deserve better than this? He worked his ass off during that pandemic, and this is what he fucking gets. So he better fucking win, and I'm picking him because I liked Corbin better when he was poor. Now he's just the same, except happy now, which also really bothers me. So yeah, Drew for the win. What do you think?
I think I'm gonna pick Drew to win here, and then Madcap Moss takes Drew on the following SmackDown, and Drew kind of squashes him because like Moss gets like this big inflated ego, and maybe even like goes up to Corbin and is like, "You couldn't get the job done, but I won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and I'm gonna do it." And then he goes in there and gets like Claymored in like 5 seconds, kind of thing. Like make a joke out of him,
Yes.
kind of, which of course then in turn makes a joke of the armbar, but they've done that already anyway. So yeah, I'm just gonna stick with you and say Drew wins. Let's talk about our next match. Another what feels like a joke match, really. Like I feel like it's fitting that it's April Fool's today, but it would be more fitting if it was April Fool's tomorrow because this entire card feels like it's a fucking prank, bro. So we've got the Mysterios, Ray and Dominic, versus the Miz and Logan fucking Paul.
Would you believe, and I hope nobody shoots me for this, I'm kind of leaning towards Miz and Logan Paul winning this.
I get it.
Like,
I get it.
I don't know, man. I don't
Celebrities
know.
do win their matches at WrestleMania a lot. I'm kind of convinced that's why they had Sami Zayn drop the IC title so that they wouldn't put an actual prestigious title on a celebrity.
Yes. And you know what? Because Knoxville's also working Mania, I don't know if they'll have both celebrities win the weekend. So I am tentatively going to go Ray and Dominic. But I'm going to be honest, I would not be surprised if Logan Paul pinned Dominic at all. Like, at fucking all. Like, I'd be like, oh, yeah, yeah, that's believable. Because Dominic is such, he's mid, to put it nicely.
You're right, but I
And
feel like if either of the Mysterios eats the pin in this, it's Ray, not Dominic. I think they would rather protect Dominic for the future.
right, that's understandable. I still think I'm going to go the Mysterios, but it's very tentative and very apathetic at that. I just
Well, then this can
fuck
be
this
our
match.
first major disagreement. I'm going to go with Miz and Logan Paul to win.
Oh wow, so yeah, you really were understanding me when I'm like, can you, would you believe if I'm actually leaning towards these guys? But no, I don't blame you at all, man. I really don't blame you at all. I could 100% see it.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about another meaningless match that almost feels like a mean prank, like a sick joke. Like, oh, ha ha ha, this guy injured your best friend, and now you have to wrestle him too. The New Day versus Sheamus and Ridge Holland.
This is awkward as fuck. You
All right.
have to give the New Day the win here, right? Just for a feel good thing, because
I
people are
mean, you'd
thinking about fucking
think.
Big
You
E.
know what? I'm starting to wonder if Ridge Holland just needs to like not be a pro wrestler anymore, because like this is the second major botch that he's had. You know, the first one injured Johnny Gargano, and it was another fucking neck problem where he dropped him on his fucking head. And like, not to mention, like somewhere in the middle there, he didn't know how to properly catch someone, and he ended up injuring himself. Like, this dude is a danger to himself and those around him. This dude is male Nia Jax.
Yeah, it's a shame too because I wanted to really believe in the dude, but to be quite honest, and I don't want to be harsh on him for what happened to E because I don't even think Big E would want that. But when Big E tweeted out how his doctor told him that he was very lucky not to have a stroke and die from the
Yeah,
fucking trauma,
yeah.
like,
Like, that's
yeah, it's
literally
gonna make me take a
Misawa.
step back.
Like, that's Pero Aguayo Jr. Like, that's shit that we've literally seen in wrestling. And we and E are lucky to be able to still have him in our lives because he very well could have been another name on that fucking list.
And I'm gonna be kind of honest here, and I didn't expect to go this route, but us talking about E kind of got me up in my feelings a little bit. I low key find this match even being on here a bit tasteless, to be
Right?
honest,
I'm
because it's
saying. Because it would have
like
been Kofi
yeah,
and E had E not gotten his fucking neck broken by Holland.
yeah. I mean, look, if you're gonna do this fucking match, which again I'm really starting to find tasteless the more we talk about it, uh, New Day has to fucking win here. Like, if you have the heels fucking go, like, say, like, oh, I took out your best friend and now I beat you, like, that's making them feel and look like nothing. And this is the fucking New Day. Like, to be quite honest, I would not blame them if they politicked on this one. They said, no, you already injured our fucking third guy. Fuck this dude, we're going over. Like, if ever any act has ever had a right to politic, it's the fucking New Day in this moment. So I'm gonna pick them to win. The whole thing's fucking tasteless in a circus. I'm so glad we're not watching this.
You know what? Honestly, is it not quintessential Vince McMahon to have Sheamus and Ridge win here to build them up?
Oh, it absolutely is. If you'd want to go that route,
Like,
I wouldn't bat an eye.
we literally watched a few years ago Jinder Mahal concuss Finn Balor in the middle of the ring and get rewarded with a world title opportunity and win and reign and went way too fucking long and beat Nakamura and Styles. And I think Moxley or Ambrose too, or at least Orton for
Um,
sure.
he beat Orton for sure. Remember, Styles is the one that beat him. I don't know if Mahal ever beat Styles. Styles beat Mahal like
Oh,
twice. He
okay.
beat him on the one UK show for his second WWE title, and then he retained against him at Clash of
So he
Champions
was
that
just
same year.
racist towards Nakamura and then beat him anyway.
Exactly. Yes. Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I'm picking Sheamus and Ridge to win here. That's a Vince move and a
God,
half.
I wish I could reject it, like, with my whole being, but you're right. Like, I'm still sticking with the New Day, only because I don't think I can bring myself to side with you, and it's nothing against you, but, like, yeah,
It's
no,
gross. I'm not trying to say it's not gross. It's absolutely gross, but that's what makes it such a quintessential Vince McMahon move.
yeah, Jesus Christ. That whole company's depraved. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Alright,
Um
next.
okay, so there's only one match, I think one match left that doesn't involve a title. And that is Seth freaking Rollins because that's his name now. His middle name is officially freaking and they have to say it every single time. Versus TBA, we're assuming it's going to be Cody Rhodes.
Cody, and get ready, folks, because I wouldn't be surprised if he was world champion by the end of the year, if not sooner. Um, all starts here.
You know what? No, I'm picking Seth. I'm picking Seth because, dude, you got to remember, they brought in fucking Sting. They had Sting, and what was his first match? Losing to Triple H at WrestleMania. It's gonna be Seth, and it's gonna be their way of hazing Cody, almost like an initiation, like "Welcome back, kid. Pay your dues all over again."
You know, here's the thing, man. I can understand why you'd say that, but like, how can I put this in a way that sounds intelligent, not just like I want to be done with the whole fucking thing? Um, like AEW is, I don't think perceptually by Vince genuinely is anywhere close to WCW.
You know what?
Like I,
I don't even know if I can agree with you on that. Dude, AEW is living in Vince's head rent free. Literally, he changed the entire fucking format of NXT because of AEW, because NXT didn't put AEW out of business, because AEW won, quote unquote, the Wednesday Night War. He ran away from them. Like, that's not nothing.
Enough. This is morbidly making me curious how this match is going to go, but I just still stand by that. I think there is a large qualitative difference, perceptually in Vince's mind, between WCW and AEW and like Cody and Sting, especially too because Sting's opponent was fucking Triple H, and I know that Seth was like a Triple H pet project, so it's also kind of fitting in
Exactly.
that way. Um,
Seth is
but
like the
yeah,
quintessential WWE guy right now. Like, if you want to talk about like who represents the WWE in the way that like the Undertaker used to, and like Triple H kind of did for a while, I think it's either Seth. It's either Seth or Roman. It's kind of both of those guys in a way.
yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Um, I'm I'm still going with Cody, man. Imagine though if it isn't Cody. Like I just want to put that out there just
I know.
really quickly. Like, just imagine if it's not Cody.
It's
Because
just
so I'll just say this: uh, TBA, whoever it is.
it's
I
just
just think
fucking
whoever
Braun
TBA is.
Breaker here to wreck
Oh,
shop.
fucking Braun Breaker. I've heard rumors about Bray Wyatt, which I highly fucking doubt because I
No.
think he's only in Dallas for WrestleCon.
Yeah.
Um, so whoever TBA is, I'm just gonna go with TBA. Like Cody specifically, yes, I feel like I put that at 90%. But yeah, whoever TBA is, they'll go over Seth.
I'm picking
Which
Seth. I'm picking Seth all the way. I think Seth's got this.
here's the interesting thing though, because why I like your pick, and it has nothing to do with the discourse that we just had about it. Why I like your pick is I feel like it at least opens a path for Seth because the dude's down bad. Like that's been his whole story, right?
Yeah.
He was so down bad he couldn't qualify for Mania. He got summoned in Vince's office, and Vince is like, "Why didn't you ask me?" Because when my internet was good, I actually was able to see this video. You could have just asked me for a match, and then Seth does this whole thing. Admittedly, I popped a few times. He grows on you. He grows on a person. Um, but if Seth loses here, like, what does he do after that as a character? Your whole thing was getting to WrestleMania, which I know is different from winning at WrestleMania. But like,
He's kind of bulletproof though, because like he's like the one character on the whole roster that can take an L like this and just laugh it off the next night and be like, "Ha ha! I won, guys! I got my WrestleMania match. I told you all it was gonna happen."
don't, I mean, here's the thing: you're not wrong, but don't you think there's a certain risk in that? Because looking at history about people that we thought were made of Teflon, WWE apparently did too, and they're like, "Oh, okay, so we can do whatever we want." I don't think that'll ever happen to Seth because, again, going back to the discussion that we had, he is one of those WWE guys. It's just going to be very interesting because I already see again, and I'll just reiterate my position very quickly. I see Cody making that slow ascent to the world title. I think it's going to be the big push for him this time. If I'm wrong, which I hope I am, it'll be fucking hilarious. Because I remember telling everybody he's pulling a Christian. He's not trying to be competitive. He's trying to prove himself to Vince. Same way Christian did with the Impact run. Christian knew that Impact was never going to win. He's like, no, this is the perfect place to make my main event resume, and he was right. Then Cody took the same fucking gamble. We'll see if it pays off. But yeah, Seth. I feel bad for Seth Rollins fans, man. I've heard a lot of people say that he should have been world champion at some point this year, and he's been doing stellar fucking work. I would not mind him being champion again. I just don't know when it's going to be, especially now if Cody's going to try and leapfrog him here. But yeah, you're going to go with Seth. You're locking that in.
Yes.
I'll lock in TBA, and I guess that's that.
Yeah, and I will say, I think my main reason for picking Seth is because if it is Cody, which I am expecting it to be, there is nothing more Cody Rhodes over the last couple years than debuting at WrestleMania and losing your match and getting sympathy for it. That is quintessential Cody Rhodes for the last 2 or 3 years.
You have a point there. I mean, I will say this spiritually, I am rooting for Seth Rollins, not even because I necessarily hate Cody, but because no one should ever succeed when they willingly get a neck tattoo like that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
we're with you, Seth. We're
Yeah.
with you. All right.
All right. Next up, we have two title matches left. Let's talk about the one that we care less about. The Usos defending the SmackDown Tag Titles against Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs.
You know what, man? I actually see Shinsuke and Boogs taking this. I think they're a hot act still. I
Interesting.
don't say that with any authority. Um,
Huh.
but Usos have been tag champs before. They'll definitely be tag champs again. I think they're at that stage of their careers where, like you said about Seth earlier, they could take the loss and still lay claim to being the best damn tag team in the business. So I'm gonna go with Shinsuke and Boogs here. I'm not gonna overthink it.
You know what? I'm just gonna join you on that, just because like the Usos have been tag champions for a while now, and it doesn't feel like it's done anything for their characters at all. There's nothing interesting going on with them. Period. Like it's like they're the tag champions, and yet it still feels like their lives are only made interesting when they're in Roman's existence. You know what I mean?
Yeah, God, I miss main event Jey Uso.
Right?
I'm sorry to be a broken record,
No,
but
I agree
like,
with you though. I agree with you.
fuck.
All right, so
Yeah,
then we get to
we
our
listed it.
as in Twitwow's main event of this show, and literally the only match on night one that we will be reacting to, that being Becky Lynch defending the Raw Women's Championship against Bianca Belair.
Hey, I try and be a fair man on this show whenever possible. I know that's not always easy for me, but I fully expect Bianca to go over, and if she does, this was a hell of a story. It was a great story to make Becky a villain. I don't know how successful they were in the Enterprise. I think they got more successful as time went on, at least from the segments that I saw. Bianca continues to be just an amazing babyface to the point where I don't even know if I ever want her to go heel again. I'm sure she will. I'm definitely sure she will, but I think she's so relatable and marketable as a babyface for just the right audience at the right time that it's really beautiful to see her come into her own and to do it so flawlessly. Um, so yeah, I'm really excited for this matchup. I think this will be one of the defining matches of the fucking weekend. But yeah, I'm going with Becky to round out this story, and I'll tell you, excuse me, I'm going with Bianca. I misspoke there. What a grave misspeak. Let me restate that. I'm going with Bianca to win here, but I will say this just makes the Becky character all the more interesting because she's been the first one to point out that nobody has beaten me for this title in the last few years. I had to give it up because of motherhood, all that stuff. Well, now that you have been beat, now that you've been knocked off your perch, now that you don't have the title, what's going to happen to the Becky character? That's the other thing that excites me about this match is not only are we going to get back on track with Bianca having the title and having hopefully like a strong face run, what happens to the Becky character after this? Does she find her way again? Is it like a redemption story where she goes babyface? Does she go even further heel, like mentally crack and lose her fucking mind? Like I even toyed with that idea. Like I'd love for her to come out with a replica Raw Women's Championship and posture as if she was still the champion and she didn't get beaten. Bianca just comes out just like girl, and they do the whole thing. But yeah, I think we're about to see another big moment in Becky's career and Bianca's career simultaneously with Bianca winning the championship. So I'm very curious though to know what you think.
Yeah, I think that it is horrible, horrible storytelling if Bianca doesn't win this match. I think
Yes.
we've even had moments where we were almost afraid that Becky was turning face throughout the course of the build to this because it just feels like this heat has never been paid off and now is when you have to do it. And I do mean you have to do it here because if you don't, you're going to start getting fuck you heat. You're going to start getting people saying, "Okay, this storyline's dead in the water. I'm done with it. I'm washing my hands clean of it." You don't want that, and this is where it needs to pay off. Period. Bianca needs to win, and frankly, in my opinion, she should win in under 25 seconds. She should win in less time than Becky beat her at SummerSlam last year. It should literally how many interactions have these two had where Becky tried to get the jump on Bianca? Bianca powered through and hit Becky with a KOD or two.
Yeah, you are right about that. I think it'd be a very interesting angle if they made the match like really fucking short, like if they pulled
Yeah.
a Bryan and Sheamus, but with these two
Yes.
women. I think
Yeah.
it'd be
Like
great. Yeah.
literally, like Becky goes for the fucking rock bottom or whatever she calls it. Bianca stiffs out of it, gets her up in the torture rack, hits her with the KOD, doesn't even bother going for the pin, picks her up, hits her with a second KOD, 1, 2, 3 match.
Damn. Damn. Because that would really break Becky. Going back to the character shift that I think would have to take place after such a loss.
Yeah.
Losing the title alone, that's bad. Losing the title like that, fuck, man. And then what I like about your booking, honestly, because I'm not trying to speak for you here on this part. I am using your thoughts as a springboard. I think it would give them the perfect ground to finally have a proper stipulation match. Because I feel like this rivalry definitely calls for it. Like it has gotten so personal. I think Bianca almost like had her hair threatened by Becky. Like Becky wanted to cut it, but then Bianca ended up cutting some of Becky's hair. I know Becky used Bianca's hair with the chair wrapped around her throat to send her into the ring post. Like it has
Yep.
gotten nasty, dude. So like with your booking, I could just see it reaching a fever pitch and being like, okay, fuck you, let's settle this. And maybe her and Becky could have the I Quit match that her and Bailey were supposed to have at Money in the Bank last year. And I actually feel like this would be a more fitting I Quit match, to be honest. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I love your idea. I love your idea, and I love the ramifications of that idea. So I'm rooting for that,
Okay.
100%.
All right, that's it for night one. Let's get into night two. So for night two, I think that the easiest match to open this thing with is Johnny Knoxville versus Sami Zayn.
Um,
This is an anything goes match, actually.
my ping's been doing really well on this, so I don't mind talking about this at a bit more length than I probably should. I'm having fun with you right now, anyway, so my hair's kind of down
Good
right now.
shit.
Uh, you know, I really want Sammy to go face again. And so I'm kind of hoping that this is like the beginning of maybe, we were just talking about a character shift for Becky. I'm hoping that this, because I'll just say right now, I expect Knoxville to win. Let me get that out of the way.
Yes,
I think
agree.
he's going to
That one
win.
down. Yes.
But then in the aftermath, because Knoxville obviously isn't going to show up, he's the celebrity. Sammy's like the working guy. There's just got to be a moment in the Sammy character, right, that like breaks him, but almost in a good way, where it's like maybe I was wrong, which I thought the Kevin Owens story was going to be last year. I thought Kevin was going to like beat the conspiracy out of him, which now Kevin's heel, and that makes me sad, but that's a separate thing. Um, I think I'm ready for Sammy to be babyface again. I never thought I'd say that because if anybody knows the history of TwitWow, you guys know that I only really started to like Sammy after he turned heel and he realigned with Kevin and he just really got arrogant and like I was like, oh my god, to the point where I wanted him to be WWE champion,
Yeah.
and then I think he got injured. But I think I'm ready for him to be a babyface again. I think I'm ready for him to be Sami Zayn, especially if I will say this too, um, Roman retains, which you and I haven't talked about that yet. I'm not ready to talk about that, but you're gonna run out of fucking challengers. I mean, Jesus Christ, I think it's already been even kind of a meme that The Rock is gonna interrupt Roman's celebration after WrestleMania. And like honestly, I don't want that. I'd rather you get a guy like Sami Zayn do a redemption story and fight his way to Roman, especially because they had that one title match, but it wasn't even a match because Brock assaulted Sami and then Roman picked the bone. So how fitting that Sami gets another shot, but it's a proper shot because he really earned it this time. I just feel like there's so much you could do with the Sami character that it's been exhausted at this point with this gimmick. So I'll go Knoxville with the win, but I am hoping Sami goes back to being a babyface this year. There's still plenty of time. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts, if you have any beyond agreeing with me that Knoxville will win.
No, I do agree with it that Knoxville will win. I actually didn't have any thoughts about the Sami Zayn character just because I feel like no matter what he does, he's just going to be the best part of any, or at least one of the best parts of any given show that he's on in WWE. It's weird. Is it possible for someone to be so good for so long that you grow bored of it?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's exactly where I am, honestly. And it's nothing against Sammy, because what you just said about him being the best part of the show, I agree with you.
Yeah,
But I think what you just articulated is exactly where I'm at. Like
it's
he's
like
so good at this. I'm like, yeah.
it's like Sammy comes out and we just know it's going to be great, and then it's great, and then we move on, and that's just it. And it's like, okay, now what? And it's like, maybe a change up is what we need because I'm not bored with Sami Zayn, but I am bored with the WWE product, and Sami Zayn consistently being one of the best parts of it is repetitive. I mean, I'm not saying I want him to be worse. I'm saying I want the product to get better. But like, at the very
Yes.
least, like, yeah, he has been kind of doing the same shtick for a while now. So yeah, I could definitely sign on to what you're saying about him having a character shift, maybe going back to being a babyface, so that then he can continue to be one of the highlights of the show, just in a way that we're supposed to like.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, again, people really gravitated to his interactions with Brock Lesnar. And I thought it would have been, interesting. Maybe Sammy goes face and maybe he's on better terms with Brock. I don't fucking know. I just feel like there's so much you can do with him. And there's so much you can do with him because he gives himself so many possibilities as a character by being so fucking good at what he does and his interactions with the people on the mic, just whatever. So yeah, Knoxville wins, but I just really wanted to take an aside and say I'm really ready for Sammy to get shaken up. with everything else they're shaking up in this fucking company, and hopefully for the
Dude,
better.
it's unbelievable how badly we need a draft after this Mania, right? Like, I feel like everyone's been
Dude,
doing the
yeah.
same shit for so fucking long. Like, the draft needs to get moved seriously badly from fall to spring so that we can just get a complete shakeup right after Mania. Maybe even before Money in the Bank. Like, maybe you want to do it right, but maybe you want to do Money in the Bank then the draft. But I think you should do the draft first, then Money in the Bank. And yeah, I think that it's just really needed right now because like we even talk about like the women's feuds. Like I think Becky losing to Bianca, if she's not gonna get like a big stip match with Bianca, and she still could, but like getting shaken up to SmackDown to challenge Ronda makes a lot of sense, you know. And then like yeah, Sami Zayn
Oh, absolutely.
getting shaken up to Raw, I think would help his character a lot. Just to be in a new environment and have new people to kind of bounce off of, and obviously have the character shift to make it even more fresh. Yeah, I really do think that things need to get shifted around after WrestleMania, even if it's not a full blown draft, even if it's just like a few trades, maybe. I don't know. It just seems like there's too much. It's too stale. There's too much sort of stillness going on. Lucidity, is that the word? Placidity? I
No
don't.
lucidity. No. I think I know what you're trying to articulate. The lucidity isn't it? Because that's a completely different thing.
It's too
Um.
placid,
Yeah.
and I do
I just.
mean placid, not flaccid.
Yeah. Uh. To me, I would even go as far as to say, like, because even designating nights for the draft and stuff, and then they commit to it, I would just like to see shakeups throughout the year, honestly.
Yeah,
Almost kind of do like a GM mode, but like in the
I was
written
thinking
WWE
kind of like
universe.
a Stardom, where we get like betrayals and people moving factions, but rather than with factions, it would be with brands.
Dude, they used to do that in the Bischoff and Stephanie McMahon era way fucking back.
Right, like
Like,
03,
J-
04 ish.
yeah, 03, 04. Like, yeah, you would have Jericho who was on SmackDown, and then Bischoff said that he was, going to poach somebody. And I remember Stephanie doing these segments asking all these guys, Kurt Angle, Edge, all these people. And then somebody was driving off with Eric in a limousine. Turned out it was fucking Jericho. He got in a feud with Ric Flair on Raw after he finished up his business with Edge on SmackDown. We need more of that shit. We need more people being like,
God.
oh, I'm tired of this. And then the very easy explanation is, oh, the GMs came to a trade, or I did this deal
Yeah.
behind my GM's back.
Yep.
I know I hate authority figures, but if they're going to have a purpose, that I think is the best purpose they can have. So,
Dude,
yeah.
I miss that era so bad when not only was there a brand split, but there was like actual competition between the brands where like they were trying to outdo each other, they were trying to like pop bigger ratings, and then when Survivor Series rolled around, it actually felt like a fucking war. It was cool as hell.
I mean, dude, you're talking back then, if we're talking about that era, which I know you and I, like, grew up in and know a lot of. You think about when fucking RBD and Chris Benoit feuded for the Intercontinental title because Benoit beat RBD for it on a random episode of Raw, but then Stephanie, like, poached his contract in kayfabe, so it's like, oh, the Intercontinental title's on SmackDown. No, it isn't, because then we do an RBD versus Benoit match at SummerSlam '02 for the IC title. Winner, their brand gets it, so RBD's still being with Raw. He beats Benoit. IC title goes back to Raw.
Yeah.
Then you have dude, Scott Steiner's hype when he came to the company, I think, was in large part because of the mechanism of the brand split, because you had Stephanie and Eric being like, I'm going to sign Scott Steiner. No, I'm going to sign Scott Steiner. And he felt like the biggest fucking deal because of this internal competition between two brands. You could make so many people and make other people that are already established like feel really important if people were vying for them like this. It's amazing to me that they don't do that so much more.
Dude, imagine
Um,
if, like, just for argument's sake, they decided to have Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce become the new GMs of Raw and SmackDown, with one of them being, let's say, Sonya on Raw, Pierce on SmackDown, right? And then, like, on an episode of SmackDown, you just see them having a conversation where she's like, so Adam, you watch NXT on Tuesday? And he was just like, yeah, gotta tell you, that D'Angelo kid's really impressive. And Sonya's just like, oh, it's D'Angelo that you were eyeing up. Really? I don't know. I personally kind of like that Von Wagner kid. And they just have this conversation about prospects. And then next thing you know, one of them shows up on one of their shows. And it's like, oh my God, they were just talking about that kid on SmackDown last week or something like that. It's just like, it opens it up so much. And they just are like, no, no, no. We need to have everyone on every show because ratings, even though the ratings aren't going up regardless.
yeah, it like I even think about characters. as middling as the fucking Big Show, even back in '02, where like on Raw he felt like a nothing player. So then Stephanie poaches him because him and Eric had like on-screen tension. And then what does he do on his first night? Fucking lays out Rikishi. Then I think a week later lays out the fucking Undertaker after Hell in a Cell with Lesnar. Gets in the title feud with Lesnar and wins the fucking WWE title. When only a few weeks before he was on Raw
Kind of
looking like
reminds
fucking nothing.
me. Kind of reminds me of 2011 Mark Henry.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
The
he
draft
was
did great
also
things for him
on
too.
Raw.
Yeah,
He was also on Raw, doing nothing. Gets drafted to SmackDown, cuts a promo about being in the best shape of his life, and he's going to start putting people in the Hall of Pain. Goes through that whole gimmick, ends up winning the world title in what I believe September or maybe even August,
yes. I
and
think you're right.
then
September.
and
Yeah,
yeah, just like the best run of his career. And then yeah, he ended up dropping it to the Big Show, and then the Big Show immediately dropped it to Brian because of Money in the Bank, and then we had Brian go on his whole run, and then obviously 17 seconds to Sheamus or whatever. But still, like yeah, the Mark Henry Hall of Pain run is like us, it's the stuff of legends, and that wouldn't have happened if he didn't get drafted from one brand to the other.
exactly. All right. Well, that was a really fruitful discussion. Let's get on to our next match, I guess.
McAfee Theory, and I'm just going to tell you right now, I am 100% picking Theory to win here.
Same. Same. I think McAfee will have a good show, but I think,
Yep.
Theory
I
is
think it's going
very
to be one of those
clearly the pet project.
instances where McAfee surprises everyone at first, and it's like people that didn't see him against Adam Cole in NXT are going to be shocked, like, oh my god, Pat McAfee can actually wrestle. What the fuck's going on here? And then yeah, like it's gonna be one of those like very big momentum swing matches where it's gonna be early on, it's gonna feel like all McAfee, but then Theory is gonna do some like dirty cheap thing or dirty tactic or distract the ref, or Vince is gonna show up or something along those lines. We might even get a screw job. That would be fucking hilarious. But yeah, Theory's winning this 100% for sure.
Oh yeah, he's the pet project. He's the priority. I wouldn't even be surprised if he won maybe not a world title, but a major championship before year's end, maybe even by this summer.
Yeah,
I mean, you
yeah.
figure this dude in the fucking Elimination Chamber match in Saudi Arabia made it to the end with Brock Lesnar and got to have a big spot with Brock Lesnar getting
Mhm.
F5'd off one of the pods. You don't put that attention on somebody unless you're willing to like bet the farm on them.
Yeah.
And Theory, I think, is that guy right now.
Lots of us
And
has
maybe
known. Lots of us have just known since Austin Theory's Evolve days that he was going to be a WWE guy, that he was going to be a guy that Vince loved, and here we fucking are.
yeah, I didn't think they would take it this literal by him having segments with Vince, but yeah, I mean, to put a finer point on it, right? Yeah, Theory's definitely winning, and we can move on.
Bobby Lashley versus Omas.
I'm shocked Lashley's able to work this show. I thought his injury was going to be such as to keep him off Mania, so glad he'll be getting that payday. But I'm going to go with Amos here for the win. I think he's again the priority right now in this moment, and it's going to make him look even better because he's beating a two-time WWE champion in Bobby Lashley.
Do you think he escapes a hurt lock once Lashley gets it locked in?
I actually do. I
Yeah.
actually do. And to be quite honest, you know what? I shouldn't be speaking this confidently about a product I haven't watched,
It's almost like a lineage,
but
isn't it? Because, like, remember, Lashley was the first one to break out of the Master Lock.
yeah, that's true.
And
That's
now
true.
Lashley's using the hurt lock, and no one's broken out of that once he's gotten it properly locked in yet. So that's kind of
Yeah,
crazy, actually.
I don't want to speak this confidently about a product I don't watch, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised because there was a moment in time when Big E was still WWE champion that I thought maybe Lashley was low key kind of hinting at being a babyface. Because I think he wanted to settle things with E like straight up, and then there was like a moment in an altercation they were having where MVP came from behind and I think hit Big E either with like his cane or something, and then Lashley like capitalized, but he didn't know about the interference.
Right.
Um, so I don't know. I honestly could see Lashley keeping the almighty gimmick, but just being more of a badass babyface. And I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to put MVP with a Moss because he just sees him as like, oh my god, he beat my guy. He broke out of the hurt lock. This guy is where the money is now. Lashley, that meal ticket's run dry. So I know again, I'm speaking way too much about a product I don't even watch, but I see a Moss winning. But then in the aftermath, I could see MVP defecting from Lashley, going with a Moss. Lashley goes babyface, and then the push of a Moss really begins. I mean, really begins. So yeah, that's how I see it, man. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I agree, though. I do think Omas wins here. I guess we only have one match left that isn't for any titles, and that is Edge versus AJ Styles.
Okay, I'll ask you a question to start since we've been talking about things like around the match and aftermath and this and that. I know you were discussing in the Discord with Abel and others the rumors about Edge having his own faction. One, how do you feel about him having his own faction? And two, how do you feel about Priest potentially being a member of it?
It's really interesting. I'm not entirely sure when they're gonna debut or if it's even gonna happen for sure, but I mean, it would be interesting if they literally had Priest help Edge win this match.
Yeah, yeah, I could see it. I could definitely see it. To the point where I think I'm actually going to go with Edge winning. I
Yeah,
don't think
same.
AJ
I
necessarily needs
can't
this
be
win.
convinced that, yeah, exactly. We're definitely on the same page here. I can't be convinced that Edge is getting all these rumors like he's getting a stable, and that's just not going to play into the finish of this match because this is a huge match.
It is. And look, AJ recently put Omas over, when their tag team dissolved. I think AJ's at the point of his career where it's like, I've proven myself. I'm in that GOAT conversation. I have been constant in every promotion I've worked in.
Time to put
Um,
over the next generation. Guys like Edge.
yes. But yeah, I mean, AJ and Edge are in similar points in their career. Edge, of course, is a bit further along, especially with his history and everything. But AJ, I feel like he's like, you know what, if the checks are clearing, I don't give a shit. I'm good at what I do. I'm not into like all that nonsense. Like I've matured. I'm above all like, oh, I've got to win or this and that. I'm strong in my spot. I've been strong in every spot I've ever had. I think Edge wins here because it's not that Edge isn't strong in his spot, but it very clearly seems like they have a sharper vision for him than they do with AJ at the moment. Like I wouldn't be surprised if AJ goes back to the mid card for this,
Yeah, I was
and
gonna say I
does
feel
work
like
up there.
AJ in the mid card makes a lot of sense. Is Damian Priest still the United States champion?
No, Balor beat him for it. I think
Balor.
that started the whole
You know
Damian
what?
Priest
That's even
heel turn.
more fucking perfect then. AJ Styles should go after the US title.
Yeah, oh my god, the bangers those two would have.
I'm
Jesus
saying.
Christ.
Because, like, if it would have been Priest, it would have even been more appropriate from a storyline standpoint because it could have been AJ taking away from Edge indirectly by taking his faction mate, sort of his, I guess, trainee or whatever you want to call it, title that he has. But if it's Balor, that's just banger match after banger match after banger match every time.
Yeah. Yeah, no arguments here, man.
And you know what? I think
Completely agree.
Edge, after winning this match and surrounding himself with a faction, should be the first guy to challenge whoever ends up becoming the unified WWE Universal Champion.
I agree again. In fact, I wouldn't even mind if Edge won that fucking thing with a faction. I think his
Yeah,
work's been very compelling.
yeah.
So yeah.
All right.
All right.
Glad we're on the same page. Let's move on to our Raw tag titles. RK Bro defending against the Street Profits and Alpha Academy in a triple threat.
Well, oddly enough, I think I'm gonna go with Street Profits to
Me
win here.
too. We had the same thought completely, and I love it.
I honestly, just because with how Orton is with the younger guys that I think that he
Yeah.
trusts and he believes in. Because keep in mind, when Alpha Academy won the Raw Tag titles the first time, Orton ate the fucking pin, I think, from Otis, which I fucking love that
Mm-hmm.
for Otis. I could see Montez pinning Orton here. Like Montez is very
Yep.
clearly a
John, are you still there? Hello? Oh God, John, you just completely cut out for me. I don't know if your internet took a shit or if you're like accidentally muted. Oh shit. Well, we knew this could happen, guys. We knew that this was a distinct possibility, unfortunately. Hopefully, this resolves itself, but it's also possible that this could just last hours, in which case, obviously, I would have to end the recording. Uh, this is really unfortunate. I'm going to send him a message. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. He is typing at least. We are still live. My internet is not the problem. And we already know that his internet has been miserable for like a week now. Over a week even.
I can hear you again. I can hear you again. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes. Wonderful. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, Ping just fucking like it's been doing great for most of the commentary, surprisingly, and then all of a sudden it decided to go up to 5,000,
Yeah.
and I just couldn't hear you for shit. So,
hmm
can you please, whatever you were saying, say it again?
Um, I wasn't saying anything. You were in the middle of talking about the situation where Orton put over Otis and that he was going to be willing to put over Ford. I think.
Oh yeah, like I was just gonna predict that Ford pins Orton after his frog splash or whatever, and Street Profits, win the tag titles. So,
Right.
yeah, if you have anything you want to add to that,
No,
can,
no, I'm pretty. We're just on the same page as usual there. So then let's talk about the women's tag team championship. Queen Zelina and Carmella, the champions, defending against three other teams in a four-way match. Sasha Banks and Naomi, Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, and Natalia and Shayna Baszler. Really, honestly, there's only one person in this entire match who can fuck all the way off, and that's Natalia. I like or love everyone else in this match. Even Carmella, I can kind of be okay with. I like Zelina, and yeah, I like or love everyone else for sure.
dude, I'm right there with you to the fucking letter. I actually feel bad for a lot of these women here because I'm like, wow, Rhea, Liv, Sasha, and Naomi for like the years that they've had leading up to this Mania, and mainly just the last few months, even to just be in the tag title match. Oof. Um, fuck me, man. Uh,
Bro, I'm gonna be real with
honestly,
you. I'm picking Natalia and Shayna to win this.
I don't blame you. It actually
This,
hurts my heart that I think I'm gonna agree with you.
yeah,
I do just want to say though, my emotional pick 100% is Sasha and
Sasha and
Naomi.
Naomi.
I've seen
Yeah,
the clips of them at live events. Kids fucking love them. It is the most wholesome, pure fucking shit. I don't know if it's Kyrie being back that's got me in my feels, but I see those two having fun and dancing with kids and like giving them a genuine experience.
yeah,
And I'm like, they are the most marketable. Like, I love Rhea and Liv. I've seen a little bit of them together, great aesthetic and everything. But I
yeah.
feel like Sasha and Naomi are the most marketable team in this whole fucking match. Like, the merchandise and shit that you could do with these two, then I'm sure kids would eat the fuck up because it's fun and it's colorful and it's innocent and it's good. It's just genuinely good in the ring. Sasha and Naomi should win this. I'll be pissed when they don't, but I actually am going to agree with you. Happy for Shayna, but you know what? No, actually, no, I'm not happy for Shayna because she's above this fucking championship anyway. She should have been a monster heel that had a monster run with one of the main women's titles by now. The fact that that still hasn't happened when she had one of the most dominant reigns in NXT history is a fucking joke. But yeah, let's just go Natalia and Shayna.
All right, all right, man. I can't believe because the thing is, like, I agree with you. Like, if we're going by want, I would say Sasha and Naomi one, Rhea Liv two. I don't know if I would even put Natalia Shayna at three over Zelina Carmella. It's like, we've got Sasha and Naomi at one, but then Rhea Ripley and Liv are like a close two. Like it's so close that you might even want to call them 1A 1B for me because I really like Rhea and Liv a lot. But then there's just a fucking mile worth of shit. And then it's no, you know what? I can't say that. I will say three would be Zelina and Carmella. Because I just fucking hate Natalia so goddamn much. So, John, I just want everyone to know. John messaged me. That's probably what you all heard. You heard the Discord notification sound. John messaged me and let me know that his ping tanked again. So we are in a position where he probably can't hear me. I can't hear him. I don't really know what to do. I guess we just kind of wait it out and hope that it comes back in time. The thing is, at the very least, I can talk to him via text while we're doing this. And in the meantime, let me say this. In the meantime, maybe I can continue the commentary and get your thoughts via text. Because literally, the only match that we have left is Brock Roman. That's it. Literally, the only match we have left is Brock Roman. Okay, now okay. He said sure. So, all right. So Brock Roman thoughts? For me personally, I am just gonna say that I do think Roman retains here. I think it would be the most foolish thing in the world to have Roman be on the run that he's on right now, only to have him lose the title to the same motherfucker that he couldn't beat for the title for all those years. So yeah, Roman in my mind has to win here and become the unified WWE Universal Champion. Um, John said, actually, let me disconnect and try calling you back before I do that.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Yeah, crazy thing. I just did a speed test, and my downloads are apparently over 30 right now, and they say my ping
Wow.
was normal. So I thought if we waited a few
Wow.
more seconds, probably not going to last. So let's make this quick.
I
Brock
already
Roman.
said Roman has to win because you don't have him have the kind of run that he's had, only to have him lose to the same motherfucker that he couldn't beat for the title all those years ago.
I essentially agree with you. I hate the titles are being unified, and I will say, like, I have no fucking idea who beats Roman. I don't want it to be Rock if Rock interrupts. I guess I'll ask you that. Do you think Rock's interrupting after this to kind of close Mania on that note of like,
I
oh my
don't
god, already
know.
setting him? You don't think so? That's
No.
good. I hope you're right, honestly. Um, Personally, I would be just fine with Drew getting built back up, potentially have a match with Roman. I think that would be really fucking cool.
You
A
know what?
Big
Let
E
me ask you
return.
this, John. Since we don't
Yeah.
have any stipulations on this match, since it's not like a no DQ, no count out kind of thing, what do you think the odds are that it just ends in some kind of draw? Like a double knockout or a double count out even or something along those lines?
Bro, I'm gonna be truthful with you. If it was any other pay-per-view, I would put the odds at like upwards of 90%. But because it's Mania and it's probably gonna be the main event, right? Because of the stakes and everything, you don't do the main event on the show, even if only perceptually, be a draw. That there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
I think the heat in that arena would be insane if they got gypped. Seeing a draw in a match that big, you need a winner.
I
You
mean, if
need a
they put
winner.
on a really good match, and then maybe like we get a really good match out of them, maybe even like a 15 20 minute match, and they really just go all out in this match, and it's almost like the Extreme Rules match in 2012 between Cena and Lesnar, and it just ends on that like we get like Lesnar hits an F5, Roman pops up, hits him with a spear, and they're just both down for the 10 count.
See, here's the thing. I get what you're saying, but this is precisely the edge. And I think you and we once had a conversation about this years ago, and I'm sure we've kind of touched on it since. But like, this is the one superiority to me in my mind that WWE or sports entertainment more broadly has over UFC. Because you can build up two great UFC fighters, right? Let's say in the middleweight division. And you could have this middleweight champion that's going in 10-0, and this guy that's like on a hot streak. Maybe he's 5-0 or whatever, but he's contending for the title. Match could end in one round, and a lot of people feel deflated because they had in their mind like all these counters and techniques and this and that because it was two amazing fighters. But because it's real, right, it could end and in the blink of an eye. WWE, because it's choreographed and stuff like that, they can draw it out and they can give a winner, which I think they give the people what they want on that emotional level. I just think it would be too much backlash. A match that big, ending in a draw, even with the physicality that you're noting. It's WrestleMania. I think it's where things definitively come to an end and other things admittedly begin. I agree with you that Roman wins. I'm not overthinking it about a draw here. Because, again, this is exactly where the distinction between UFC and WWE comes into play. You don't do draws at WrestleMania. You can do draws on any big UFC card
Well, okay,
because it's
okay,
real.
maybe not a draw. What about a disqualification? Because even if either one of them were to get disqualified, they would still both keep the titles that they went into the match with.
Okay, I can still hear you. I think okay, no, my ping's back. Okay, it like briefly tanked again, so I just want to check in. I don't see that either, man. Again, I just see a definitive winner. Like straight up, one guy's gonna walk out with both titles, and I do think Roman's the better pick here. Like that
All
logic they had
right.
at the very beginning.
I guess I'm just
I'm right
trying to
there with you.
find a way
So
out for WWE because this feels like such a bad move. But you're probably right. It probably is just going to go down the way that they're saying it's going to go down. When they're telling me what they want to do, I should just believe them.
yeah, yeah. I mean, dude, I am sympathetic to where your logic comes from, and I could even agree with your logic again if it was any other pay per view. Even if it was the pay per view before Mania, I'd be like, you know what, Ashton, you're probably right. they are so egotistical and they have such a vision of mania in their own minds. I don't think. I just don't see it.
I mean,
Um,
they did literally have
God
a
help us though if Lesnar
WrestleMania
wins.
dark main event 2 years ago with the Big Show challenging Drew.
Oh God, that's true. But that was also with like no crowd, so I guess the rules don't even apply anymore
That's
when the
true
third man isn't even
too.
involved.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, it was such an extraordinary time that I feel like all bets were off.
Yeah.
But like, what a better way to return to normal, right? In WWE's mind, in the wake of a pandemic, than to give a proper WrestleMania finish, a proper WrestleMania kind of closure, heel standing tall, confetti. That's why I even wondered about Rock because really Brock is a babyface, but he's not the kind of babyface that you'd be jazzed about seeing win because he's not going to be there the next night.
Right.
It's WWE is so bad, man. What the fuck? Like, like, there's just no. I really wish that this was Roman against some kind of underdog character again, like a Sami in this role. I'd be so fucking hyped. I'd be like, Ashton, we are definitely watching this match. I wouldn't even have to convince you because you'd probably be down too. You'd be like, fuck
Yeah.
yeah, we're watching this
Yeah.
because it's compelling. It's quintessential pro wrestling. I like babyface Brock. I have said that multiple times. I don't like him enough that I want to see him win a unified fucking championship, which I also think is a very terrible idea. Just
Wow.
I agree with you, man.
Bro,
I
I
agree
just
with you 100%.
looked. There wasn't a single non-finish on last year's WrestleMania at all. There was the same number of matches. 14 matches, all of them with clean finishes. Maybe not necessarily clean wins by the people who won them, but not a single like non-finish on the entire 2 night card.
Yeah, it's fucking wild, man. I'm telling you, yeah. I agree with you that I'm hopeful that Roman's winning, but fuck, I am really, I'm really hopeful that you and I are right about that. I would hate to think about the alternative.
Yeah. All right. I suppose that's it, right?
Yeah, I've really got nothing to say before you ask because I don't even know if I'll be able to say it or if it's going to be swallowed up by the void. So I'm just going to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Sorry we couldn't do Rampage Live reactions. Blame TDS Telecom. They are the worst. Hopefully, I get fiber soon, and that won't be the worst. And if I don't, well, then we've got two options. Either I become a Luddite and write a manifesto, which I've definitely thought about, or they fix the fucking problem and I get back to my somewhat above average, well, not even really, kind of just average, but it functions internet, which I'd be much happier with than even this, what I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll be able to react to Becky Bianca tomorrow. I can't even say that I promise that because I honestly don't know. I just hope that we're able to do it. And then Sunday, of course, with us having 4 matches there, hoping that that works out. But if it does, you're going to get your best reactions from Twitwell, hoping that all goes down. And yeah, I think with that said, I can hand it over to Ash and take us home.
Can I just say how sad is it for NXT that our preview predictions for that show was basically a quarter of the length of this one, and we don't even watch this product, and we actively cover that one.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Wow. Fuck.
Like you would
Uh,
expect our WrestleMania preview predictions to be twice as long as the NXT one because it's twice as many matches. But we are so much more passionate for possibilities when it comes to the main roster because of the fact that there are people and acts that we do care about. And in NXT, there's barely even that anymore.
yeah. Really, really fucking sad. Which is
Yeah.
why I personally can't wait for my issues to be resolved because I'll tell you, like, I'm really starting to get like emotionally invested in AEW and I've been emotionally invested in Stardom. And in fact, on the AEW front, I gotta tell you, I think that match between Darby and fucking Andrade rekindled my very intense Andrade fandom that I used to have before WWE beat it out of me with middling fucking booking. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just kind of a
Bro,
sad state for WWE right now.
it didn't even take NXT 6 months from the start of 2.0 to make us just stop caring about everything in that promotion, basically.
And I wanted to so badly. I think we both did so badly
We were the
because
only people on the fucking
fuck.
internet that actually went into it with a positive mindset and actually thought that it might be good and wanted to see what they were going to do with it.
Yeah, yeah. I know I even shocked some friends of mine that do commentary and it's like, "Oh, wait, you like it?" Because I think they were expecting me to join in on the shit fest. I'm
Yeah.
like, "No, they're debuting all these characters and and this and that, and it's like, oh, okay, have fun with it, I guess. Almost like kicking rocks if they were the only one miserable. But no, now we're all in it together. It fucking and really ended up sucking. I just didn't really want it to. But yeah, yeah. Hopefully the Mania matches we're at least excited for are good, and hopefully we get to cover them as I would like to. But yeah, in the meantime, Ashton, it's all you, bud.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've actually managed to scrape the hour mark here, which blows my mind. I did not expect this to go much over a half hour, much less a whole hour. I guess that just goes to show you how much we still care about this shit, and how unfortunate it is that WWE has managed to sink so low, or get us to sink so low. They've beaten us down so badly, basically, that we can't even watch their product anymore, even though we obviously still care about at least the characters that are in it. So we will be seeing you over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday for our reactions to specifically Bianca Becky, the women's tag title match, McAfee Theory, the Raw tag title match, and Edge Styles. Those are the 5 matches we're going to be reacting to this weekend, and that's going to be it. We're going to be reacting to those matches as they happen. It's going to be 5 separate videos, and we just hope that they're as good as or better than we expect. And we hope that John's internet cooperates long enough for us to be able to even do it. So, that being said, like the video, subscribe to the channel, click the bell, follow us on Twitter and Twitch. And if you'd like to support us, subscribe on Twitch, buy our merch on Spring, donate to our Patreon, and share this channel and this video with all your wrestling fan friends and let them in on the best kept secret in the YouTube and Twitch wrestling communities. That's right. We are TwitWow, and we are the workhorses of the YNTWCs, and we will be seeing you all over the weekend for our live reactions to those 5 WrestleMania matches that I just mentioned. And then next week, again, assuming John's internet cooperates, we will be live reacting to Dynamite and Rampage, as well as the first day of Stardom's, and the first round, I should say, of Stardom's Cinderella Tournament 2022. I cannot wait for that. Very excited. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. We hope you all are as well. But another thing that we hope that you are all able to do is remember to stay tuned.